that straight. I'm so afraid if I touch it, it's gonna be even more crooked. I think I'd rather just live with it as it is. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Madely Gothic. If you're new here, what I like to do is a variety of artsy things, and if you're not new, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to the chaos. If you don't know, my posting schedule is every other week on Fridays. That just kind of is what ends up working out best for my schedule outside of this creative little hobby of mine. Decided to get a little dolled up for today. And you'll notice we still have a familiar face suit here. If you have not seen anything about this before, go check out Think That Side, a playlist, hopefully I'll remember to link it, of everything that's gone into making this so far. But today I wanted to have a little bit more of a conversation and just kind of a discussion about costumes versus cosplays, because they're kind of confusing as far as what the difference is. Because I know I've kind of labeled a lot of my videos as a cosplay, so what makes that different than a costume? Do I have any credentials to be speaking on this? I won Best Novice earlier this year on my second cosplay ever, so probably not, but I digress. This is Beetlejuice, and if you haven't been watching, I have been posting every other week for the past several months on putting this thing together, and it's technically still not done, and that's because I'm viewing it as a cosplay versus a costume. So Merriam-Webster defines a costume as the prevailing fashion in coiffure, jewelry, and apparel of a period, country, or class, an outfit worn to create the appearance characteristic of a particular period, person, place, or thing, a person's ensemble of outer garments. And those are the noun definitions of it. Versus a cosplay is defined as the activity or practice of dressing up as a character from a work of fiction, such as a comic book, video game, or television show, often used before another noun. So it's kind of making it sound like anybody who dresses up on Halloween is doing a cosplay, not wearing a costume. And that's kind of where I think some of the confusion comes into play. So if you look on places like Reddit on Explain Like I'm 5 about the difference between them, a lot of people seem to share that it's the level of effort that goes into it is what defines a costume versus a cosplay. A costume is probably something you don't really think about. Maybe you made yourself, but it's kind of low effort. You're not wearing it to become the character. You're wearing it to just have fun in a different outfit, is what it seems like, versus a cosplay is typically made by hand or purchased from someone who made it by hand. And there's a lot more time, care and attention to detail put into it. Cosplays have a higher level of detail and structure, and I think this is evident when you think about the types of competitions that you usually hear or see. So a costume contest is often just appearances. You could judge it based on a single photo and nothing else. Versus cosplay contests, I've heard of basically two kinds, which is craftsmanship or performance. And so performative is about embracing the character of the cosplay. It seems, I've not done a performative contest, so don't come for me. But like performance-based contests seem to be about embodying the character, doing some kind of entertainment or engaging activity in the spirit of that character or with extra knowledge of that character, versus craftsmanship, which is what I've done, is about the quality of the work and the care that's gone into it. Sometimes it's about accuracy, especially if they know the character well or have seen multiple versions of it. So like a Mandalorian armor. There's a lot of people who do really, really cool Mandalorian cosplays, but they often end up getting compared to each other on a level of which one's better, because you can determine accuracy to the character really well when there's two people doing the same thing. So accuracy to the character probably means more to the person wearing it than necessarily the judges, but don't quote me on that. So that's where I think the line gets drawn, especially for me, when I think about this being a costume versus a cosplay, and why I'm not happy with it in its current state. So what are some of the things that I think need to change in order to make this thing a reasonable cosplay to eventually compete? Because I think this would be really fun. Well, first things first, the bow tie is just ties. This is not anything that would fly whatsoever. I sewed this piece on wrong. I sewed it inside out, so I'll need to undo that and flip it, hopefully. But this needs to actually attach in some way, shape, or form and not just be ties, because these are unfinished edges. Craftsmanship competitions, they are looking at every seam, every inside of a panel, the details of a fabric. So technically, they could push the sleeve up, and the fact that all of this is still dyed, and it wasn't just the visible section, means there's a higher level of quality and a higher level of work that went into it. The fact that all of my seams are finished edges, even though some of the sewing is a little bit sloppy, and so some of these seams I may want to rip out and redo if I'm really trying to get it judged. But all of my seams are finished edges. You will not find a unfinished edge anywhere on this thing. The fact that the jacket is fully lined, those are the kinds of like little details. Personally, I think something I'm very proud of is, again, this shoulder detail. The fact that the shoulder zippers, except that in itself reveals two problems that I want to address in the future. The undershirt doesn't have a zipper. The undershirt I just cut with scissors, and so this is a raw edge. So I can never wear the undershirt without having a gaping hole in the shoulder, which isn't really ideal. So I have a white zipper, so that's something I want to address in the future. These edges on the inside of the sleeve, however, these aren't finished. These are exposed raw edges. So to compete this in a craftsmanship competition, those are something I would want to address. You basically wrap them with bias tape and sew that in. So it's, to me, the difference between a costume and a cosplay is the amount of effort and detail that goes into it. Now, that's not to say that costumes can't in and of themselves be incredibly detailed. So I think that's where the second part comes in, and it's what you choose to do with it. So wearing it to conventions, by default, it seems to be considered a cosplay, versus wearing it out on Halloween seems to be, by default, considered a costume, which is why you can see I had so much trouble determining if I was going to label this a costume or a cosplay. And the truth of the matter is, if you were hoping that this video was going to give you a definitive, concrete answer on what the difference is, it's not. I don't know. I really don't. Someone like Sarah Spaceman is probably far more qualified to actually answer that question. But I didn't want this to be too deep or too heavy. I just wanted to kind of chat about, kind of like I've done the convention reviews of my other cosplays. Here's an unfinished review of this costume. I did wear this for Halloween. I did wear it on Halloween at our party. It held up pretty well. The biggest thing that suffered was the moss. I did not use nearly enough glue to stick this moss down. So the moss needs to get, you can see little spots where it fell off. Some spots I did a really good job. This is really stuck on there. Other spots not so much. I need to finish the bow tie. I need to finish the other side of the sleeve. I also need to finish the teeth on the sandworm. I just ran out of time to paint the teeth in the black and white stripes, and I think that's a huge deal. Also, the outer sandworm's eyes still aren't glued in, which I can tell you would not go over well in a craftsmanship contest. If you poke it and it moves and it's not supposed to move. If you poke it and it moves and it's supposed to move, that's probably fine. But the eyeballs aren't supposed to move inside of the head, so probably need to go ahead and glue those down. I did not get a chance to get the teeth painted in black and white stripes. I figured it was still identifiable enough even without it. However, for my sake and sanity, if I were to compete this, I'd want to get that done. So it's just about like all of the little things. One of the biggest things is I didn't get the magnets sewn into this. That just never happened. The magnets work perfectly fine on their own. Wow. On their own to stick to each other, and worked just fine when I built the sandworm to go through a thin shirt and the sandworm fabric. As soon as I started trying to get it to go through the jacket, it stopped working. So I need to get bigger magnets. I think the ones in the sandworm might still be fine. If not, I have to seam rip those out and put whole new magnets in, which is gonna be a fun time, and I'll probably make a video on it. But these magnets weren't strong enough, and so I need to go get some new magnets to be able to sew them into the lining. And so there's a detail that I think I will be very proud of, because my intention is to sew it to the lining so that when you look at the outside of the jacket, you don't see any of the stitch marks because they'll be on the inside and not visible. That's something to me that would make this stand the next step up as a good cosplay. a lot of the characterization, so doing the full makeup, trying to get into the Beetlejuice character and his faces and all of that kind of stuff goes into just making the character come to life. So ultimately, I think what you want to call a cosplay is kind of up to you, unless you take it to the judges, and then they may have some thoughts for you. But to me, this is a cosplay, and I intend to finish it to the quality that that means to me, which is all of these tiny details and not having a tie-on bow tie. It's not even a clip-on bow tie, it's a tie-on bow tie. It's fine, it'll get fixed, I promise. I don't have the sandworm nearby right now. Maybe I'll have included some up-close videos and stuff on what this looks like a little bit more, but I got this almost fully done. I really did. It's fully wearable, it's very functional. It's just not at a level that I would compete it as a finished cosplay, because to me, it's not done. Is what I consider done probably a little bit of overkill? Yeah, but that's why this is fun to me. I like putting that extra level, that next step into it. It just means so much to me to see it be the best version of itself it could possibly be. Some of my seams are not the best versions of themselves that they could possibly. They are very much not, but that's okay. I was fighting with my sewing machine a lot on this. That's actually part of the reason the jacket, I was actually so afraid this wasn't gonna get done, because I thought I broke my sewing machine for about like a week and a half, and then managed to fix it. So still entirely sure what was wrong, but I understand a lot more about how it works now. So this project has been really crazy fun, and I hope to take it to the local convention next year that I competed my other ones at, which means I don't know if I'll make another cosplay next year, we'll see. I have some ideas for the rest of the year. We're probably gonna chill out a little bit with some of the content. It won't be nearly as big, crazy, and exciting. I made a suit, I'm not sure if that's big, crazy, and exciting. The sandworm probably, but I have had so much fun with this channel so far. There's been a lot of new people because of this, so if you're one of them, hi, thank you for listening to my rambles and sticking around this long. It means the absolute world to me. And I hope to be able to continue this journey. I hope you'll stick around for some of the smaller, sillier, not as dramatic projects, just as much as you're here for the big, crazy, over-the-top projects. Because I do this for fun, I do this as a hobby, so I can't unfortunately fund doing this all of the time, because these kinds of things are not cheap and they're definitely not free. I kind of feel in awe sitting next to it, because I remember back in July, like 4th of July, I was telling people that I had this crazy idea. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And they were like, wow, that sounds really hard. That sounds kind of crazy. And here we are. I made it. I did it. So hopefully this serves as inspiration for you to make that crazy weird thing that you've been thinking of. And that's all I hope to do with this channel and with my videos, is show you that just because you don't know what you're doing doesn't mean you shouldn't give it a try. So thank you so much for visiting my weird little corner of the internet and listening to the rambles that have probably gone on for longer than I intended them to. But I just wanted to do a little bit of a different sit down, kind of talk about this costume video. And I promise you more crafts in 2 weeks. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you are new, give the algorithm some love, tell it that maybe more people would like to see these kinds of videos, and tell it that you want to see more of my videos, because hopefully you do. I would like very much to have you back at my little channel. Leave me a comment on your thoughts on this. What did you wear for Halloween? What were you for Halloween? Let me know. I'd love to hear. I love hearing stories about Halloween and costumes and all of that jazz. Have you ever done a cosplay? What are your thoughts on the difference between cosplay versus costume? This is a conversation I'm genuinely very interested in, so let me know in the comments down below what you think the difference between cosplay and costume is, and if you agree with me on mine. Again, this is very rambly, I'm so sorry, but that's kind of what you're signing up for if you stick around, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.